today I want to make our book. Today we're going to about 3 minutes. Yeah. But like I said, we made the breakfast sector. Can you see that? So good. Decided rolling and as Julius say our evening prayer. What's that? You can't see me? Can you see me now? How's that? Good? All right. So everybody, after we pray, what do? Hey, good. All right. Hey, ayo sa patapiyo, ayo tatskok sa kinokisikuy. Okay, tama just as here, nokisikuy. Ay, sukaman just mo, nagutapi, sinige. Yakti tama skutu sa ginikuta taksino. Apa na siya, naka ikuy, naki siya, apa siya, nikuku siya. Oh, kutsa sige kinapi, kimakamuta, pata no, okay. O kagaki sukuman stoops. To ye gaki tama ni pinikunsko. Ye kita pek kayo mani kunsko. Naksay pisti sino ganiki. Sa wait to go to back up yo. Oh, go back to kusbato still again. Yagat si tawa puksu man na. It's a payment na. Oh, kasi bata pa ano ka talk man stoop. Yagat si tama ni pinosaski mo ko. Yagat si tama ino ka. Kuka, so ya kita kami kanito tat si opinion na tuwa pio ke. Oh, gisabat biasa so tu pinon naktai stom spinon naktai se pasti so na ganito tu pinon ke. Naktai stom pinon sabat pio. Po ke na stop pio ke na ki kutsa sa ni kanaso ka pio goa. Ke se ke na ki kenya pio se poma pio ke. Doch sa goa no nakakamuts ti data po pino na kanatis ko sinita po taksin. Esksin ni mats takik so kena kya Opokaa'sin esksin ni mats ni toy na koch po kipo at samoya. Oh, kanista po kamandisto pa ni isto wat sama. Sa tapis ni kamota ni kimista mi pat. Nice and loud. Hey, good. We are 2 weeks, right? This is our third class. Huh? Yeah, our third class. And we've covered quite a bit already. I was explaining to a few of our students that you're going to really learn a lot of nouns these first classes, and that you're going to figure out why are we just learning nouns and that. But they're going to start fitting in together in sentence structures as we go. Because already right now, everybody know what a man is? What's the word for a man? Nina, right? Now, if I say that is everybody say That means that, okay? Is this. So anytime you hear the word it means the person or the thing that you're talking about is away from the speaker. Me being a speaker, if I say Nina, I'm saying that man. Okay? Nina is this man. This, okay? Now understand we're talking about animate. If I say something inanimate, it's a whole different and right? Okay, here's the trick. Listen to the nouns that we've done. Aki, no, here. Nina, kenekwan. What did I just say? Yeah, that man is from China, right? Now, the word for ki is woman, okay? And then is right here. Ki pikanaki. What did I just say? This woman is from Pikani, yeah, right? Already, we just start throwing those things out there and that you start to really know how the language is, and right? Very descriptive, right? We're describing a person from Ghana, Pikani, Sixiga, and what's the fourth one? Ska Pikani. 4. But what happened to the Pikani? They got split in half. Well, not in half. They just got split with the United States, and right. Then we have Opokaa'sin Pikani and Ska Pikani. We talked about how the people are described of their culture. Why are we called Ghana? What's the culture of our people? Many chiefs. The Ghana are people of many chiefs, and see that man right over there? He's from Ghana. He's a chief. For me too, I'm a chief too. See that guy right over there? He's from Ghana, but he's kind of a young chief. But we're all chiefs. No, just that was the description given to us by a neighboring group. They came across the people of Ghana, and they were thinking, where's your leader? And different people were pointing out that this is the leader. And that's how we became Ghana, right? And maybe just Ghana, they went to the Pikani, and we noticed that the garments that they're wearing had scabs on them. So we call them Apikani. Somewhere along the line, there was A taken out, and it's just called Pikani. But in fact, they're called the Pikani because of the scabs left over from the hiding, right? And it had Pikani, well, they had scabs on their robes. The scabby robe people. The Pikani of the north, Opokaa'sin Pikani, we call them skinny Pikani. What does that mean? We talked about that. Skinny Pikani. Anybody? Pockets. They had pockets in their garments. Somehow they developed the sewing that they developed pockets in their garments, right? One of the first of the Levi's. Yeah. They're very innovative in that. They put pockets in their garments and that. And they call them the skinny Pikani. Skinitsuman is what you would call a pocket or some kind of a sack, right? That you put in and that. But it was attached to their garments, right? That was pretty neat, okay? Levi's are probably, if you go over there, they'll develop something very innovative in their garment. Sixiga, because of where they live, of course, we call them the Blackfoots and that, so forth and that. So we talked about those things. And we also talked about where the language is going today. I got to elevate my voice more. So the Blackfoot, as we speak right now in Canada, it's listed as endangered. It's listed as endangered because there's a limited amount of speakers, right? When they say endangered in that, they're talking about the language not being spoke at home first, right? The language at home now is English. Everything that we learn right now is English. And so it's listed as endangered in that. And further to that, a recent demographic studies had 50,000 registered Blackfoot Indians, or so to speak. I'll use the word India, but 50,000 registered Blackfoot Confederacy and only 2,000 speakers. That was the last census done in 2010. We are now at 2024, 14 years after. Have the numbers gone down? Probably. If you do a demographics now in 2025, I bet you the numbers will be less than 1,500. Less than, right? I am at a Blackfoot symposium right now here in town. And we have an audience of 250 community people, right? In the audience, we have probably 10 speakers. 10 speakers in a whole audience. So our presenters are up there talking, and most of it's in English. It's sad that our language is at that point right now. So we know that now that the language is spoken by people like myself who are old, the language. So we developed our own alphabet, and we talked about how the alphabet works now. We no longer speak it at home where it should be. We speak it like this, right? We teach our children now. There was a question, why do we write it? We have to teach it in this mode. We have to teach the language using the alphabet, using people like myself to deliver the language in that and entertain the folks and sing to them, you know. Because, we are in a state of almost, if we don't do anything right now, they figure 10 years, 2035, the language is going to be extinct. So, just like some North American languages and that, there's some languages in North America that are gone. Poof, they're extinct. Anybody know where Coeur d'Alene? Yeah. I traveled to Spokane and I actually passed through a city called Coeur d'Alene. South of Coeur d'Alene are the Coeur d'Alene people. In 1999, 98, the last of their speakers was gone. There's no more speakers. So you have people of Coeur d'Alene, but we don't have speakers in that, right? So you go to the Coeur d'Alene and then, you say, okay, how do you say your trees? Because they live in a woodland. You're probably, wait, hold on, where's my phone, right? We have to take advantage of the fact that we still have speakers like myself and utilize them, right? And teach in this kind of method or storytelling, get them together and, just have some dialogue. Dialogue, that's the biggest thing in that, because in here, if I was to have dialogue in Blackfoot, who can speak Blackfoot? Great Seaport. Oh, hey. Take it, this is stream. Anikit. I'm 65. Huh? Oh, gumana ko tan stupest. Oh. Nipu nisitsikoputu. No, nepu nisitsikoputu. Listo. Nisitsipu or nepu? Nisitsipu. Ikitsikikoputu. Ah, see? So the speakers in our language and that we're born we would call baby boomers at that. We were the baby boomers of Canada. We were kind of born, but the baby boomers are the last of the speakers. The last of the speakers who spoke at home, right? I spoke Blackfoot before I learned English myself, like Karen was saying, right? It was Mr. Dress Up, Buckshot, those people that I grew up with and that started, oh man, English is fun, eh? Casey and Finnegan and Buckshot and Benny the Bear and those type of characters and that, they, provided me with the media. I was able to kind of pick up the English language and that. But yeah, so Blackfoot is my first language and it's always going to be my first language of choice. English is something I'm still kind of getting used to. I wasn't very good in English. So we are the new world. So the new world, as we know it now, it came to the Blackfoot country and that, along with their ideas, along with their systems of government, along with their systems of school, systems of police, the court systems, all that was born right here in our home. We were already here, right? We were already here with our own society. They looked upon us and they thought, where's their king? Where is their prince? Because when you think about the English, theirs was a monarchy system that existed in England, right? Theirs was a system of government that was, it almost like a military type of system in that, but they had royalty, right? In each royalty, there's a class system that existed in that, right? Well, when they looked upon the Blackfoots in that, what is it that they seen? I'm sure that they must have been pretty amazed because when you think about Europe, each country is a kingdom in their language, right? The French had the kings, various other country had kings and that. So they're looked upon as kingdoms, right? But when it came across North America, that it was something very different from what they've seen in England. So they must have seen people like this. Help me out, Karen. So they came across people that were dressed, these two pictures, not those. So they came across people like this. And when you come across people like this, as a nation that's never seen anything like it in that, so they must have been quite amazed or confused as to why they're, oh, hey, why their leaders don't have a crown. Where is it that these leaders don't have a crown, right? And why are they dressed like that? We're only dressed like that because we used the resources that were available to the First Nations people to provide for them and that, right? Here is Meatgate. He was our leader, right? And his dad was Crop-Eared Wolf, right? And over here we have Chief Crowfoot. Now here's something that you guys probably don't know. Chief Crowfoot and Red Crow are biological brothers. Crowfoot married in Siksika and just remained there. He just stayed up there and that. And later on became adopted and he became their chief. This is his brother. Yeah. You guys didn't know that? That's something that's not written in your books and that, but they're biological brothers in that. At the time of Treaty 7, Crowfoot didn't want to sign anything until Red Crow got up there. So he waited for about another 5 days. He said, I'm not going to sign anything until we had consulted Red Crow. And that was the respect that they had for each other, right? The Piikani, Crowfoot, and of course, Meatgate. So there must have been some kind of confusion amongst the English in that, to think that, where is their castle? Why isn't it they don't protect their leaders with soldiers, right? So it was a very different society that they came across. And we were a society. We were civilized. We were a very structured civilization, right? This person, how he cared about himself and how he cared about himself was, in essence, just an everyday person. Like he would approach this person. He lives with the community. He visits the community. He's part of all the religious stuff that's happening in that. He is part of the community. There is nothing to suggest that he was upper class, right? He was just, everybody was kind of in the same keel. So when the English came in that, there was something that was kind of different from what they would see in that. And I tell you, what we have, our governing system in that wasn't born out of the Greeks. I tell you, it was born out of the First Nations. The Constitution of the United States was a direct observation of Benjamin Franklin as he sat in a lodge of the Iroquois Nation in that, right? While he was sitting in there, each of the chiefs in the Iroquois all spoke. Each had a chance to speak, right? And only when the seven all agreed upon to do something, then they would go forth in that, right? And so don't make those observations in that. The Benjamin Franklin, being from England, has never seen anything like that, right? Because back in England, you would have the king would say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then he would make his approval, and everybody has to follow. But this was something that was much different from what he's seen, right? English. So that's where we came from. A very, very distinct society. Have I shared with you that Blackfoot is actually used in World War II? Did I ever show you? I didn't show. Oh, yeah, okay. I did a presentation last Thursday to social workers, and that was pretty neat, sharing the language. So Blackfoot, nobody else speaks Blackfoot except right here, between the four groups. There's no other language like it anywhere in the world, just right here. John Tallow and Harold Cornell are brothers. And when World War II broke out, they enlisted and they went to war. And they didn't separate them. They were actually in the same platoon and they went to war. And when they got to war, I think it was after the D-Day and that, they were in occupied France or somewhere along the line of that. And while they were in France, their platoon got separated, right, as they were advancing. On one side was Harold Cornell, and on the other side was John Tallow. And they were separated, right? And they spoke fluent Blackfoot. During this, the separation, they had the army, well, the Germans were in the middle, right? So they had to sort of maneuver, and they had to make somewhere like around the point in that, they had to meet there. Their leaders of their platoon, they just say, "You speak Blackfoot, right?" And the other say, "Yeah, he speaks Blackfoot. Can you communicate with your brother in Blackfoot, strictly in Blackfoot, and that, so we can move forward and meet?" So the two of them, they started talking in Blackfoot, right? They started talking, and they were advancing each time in that. They would communicate in Blackfoot all throughout that time that they were lost. And eventually, they met without any casualties. And I heard that story directly from John. He was telling us that, they used us quite a bit, our Blackfoot. But they won't say that, in the history books. But yeah, and they did that. Because there's no other language in the world that exists, right? If you wanted to trick the Germans, you used their Blackfoot. If you want to trick the Japanese, you used the Navajo code talkers. There's no other language like it, right? Very unique language. So if we lose our language in that, boy, there'll be a lot of people, probably 100,000 Blackfoots in that, but where's the Blackfoot speakers? Nexa, Matskani. Everybody, go to your books. We're going to continue. Everybody look at me. Name 5 non-indigenous animals in Blackfoot. You can picture them, but you can't say them, right? Huh? Moose? Huh? What's that? But skin on. Don't look at your nose, look at me. Yeah, I know what a horse is, yeah. Huh? Opokaa'sin, what does that mean? Horse, but what's the literal meaning? Elk, dog. And what does Aputskina mean? Huh? Point horns, yeah. And what is a bus? A cat? Why do we call it the bus? Did I explain that to you? Yeah, it's that purring sound that they make, eh? Oh, that's 3. 2 more. Huh? Makui? Nope. Non-indigenous. Good one. I like that. Huh? Imita. Now, imita means a domesticated animal, right? Our imitas, of course, you said makui was, our was a wolf and a coyote, and so we used that imita when the Europeans started bringing in their imitas, right? Oh wow! And we've seen the relationship between the owner and the imita. Oh, it's an imita. We use that same word to describe the dogs, the modern dogs. One more. Exony. Oh, she's got colored. Hey, what does that mean? Eats anything. Oh. Yeah, it's a dirty animal. Exony. But yet we eat it, I tell you. Nope. Cuckoo, yeah, that's a non-indigenous, and the pigeon. Yeah, it's a non-indigenous, exactly, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the canines. We talked about them. There's 3 of them. What are the canines amongst the Blackfoots? There are 3 canines. Makui, which is a wolf, right? That's one. What's the second one? Coyote is a what? BC. What's the third one? Common Blackfoot name amongst the Bloods, the last name. Sinopa. Sinopa. Lots and lots of animals. Okay? Now we're going to go into animals that have hooves and antlers or horns. Okay? And I think we started going into that just a little bit. So turn to your animals. Are you following along, guys? Do they have copies? Yeah, so hopefully you'll get copies of what we're doing tonight. What's that? Did you get copies? That is a utekimutukan. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. All right, let's do our animals. Is it mine? Yeah, sit there, Joey. Yeah, great. Who's got theirs in color? No? I got mine's in color. I colored mine when I got home. So our first animal that has horns and hooves is this animal right here. Ini. Everybody go like this. Ini. You know when they're saying our land, right? We don't say it in essence that this is our land and that. We say Nitoxen. What that means is that the area that we occupy is what sustains us. Nitoxen. It provides us with the three basic needs. So when we say, oh, this is Nitoxen, the land that sustains us, it provides us with food, shelter, and clothing. So when we say Nitoxen, it means, you know, the area that provides us with the very basic necessities. Land is ksakkum, right? I mean, it's ksakkum. It's, you know, it's just ksakkum is what you're describing, the dirt, right? But when you say nitoxen, it means the land that provides us with the three basic necessities. Not only that, but nitoxen, there's plenty of water, right? Lots of water here. So it's very different when we say that, you know, this is our land, and we don't say that. So nitoxen, no, this is our the land that provides us with my basic needs, right? If I need a pair of pants, if I want pants from Pikani, I'll go. If I want pocket pants, I'll get a Pikanaki to sew my pants, right? If I want a lodge, I would use this. How many ini you figure could make a nituyis? A nituyis is teepee. I ask, how many do you figure? 10. You need 10 full adult ini to make a teepee. And who made them? And the women. Yeah, there's our women that made them and that. And these women and that, they didn't have the needles and the threads that we have today, right? They had the sinew, but they had to have a needle. So you know what? You know, they were very, very innovative in how they think. Okay, we got to put together a teepee, right? We don't have a pair of scissors. We don't have knives. So we have to figure out, okay, we got to cut out the pattern and, you know, got to make sure it's nice and round. The bottom is going to be bigger than the top and so forth. So there were engineers too, right? To figure out and then these teepees and that are not the ones you see at the Opokaa'sin. You know, those ones at Opokaa'sin, they're about 20 feet, some of them. These ones here are you know, they're probably just about 8 feet high, if not maybe 10 at the, you know, but they're really wide, the old nituis. And they're probably heavy. Huh? You know, you got to fold it and you got to move it, right? You just put it in your backpack and away you go. But, you know, you got to fold this thing. So it was quite very innovative for women. That's where the word kipitaki comes from because of the task. When a kipitaki can no longer cut, can no longer sew, can no longer, you know, hide the animal that because he's so, you know, his hands are hurting, then it becomes a kipitaki, which is a old woman. You westernize it in the sense that, well, he's an old lady. But in our traditions, that when that old lady cannot perform, cannot make a moccasin or a teepee out of the ini, then it becomes a kipitaki. But if I wanted to learn how to make a pair of moccasins, who am I going to turn to? Where's that kipitaki? Where does she live? Right? Highly skilled. And we talked about this animal. Soki is prairie. Sokiawakasi, which is antler. Sokiawakasi. Look at me. Picture a Sokiawakasi. Okay? Put two fingers in the air like this and say Sokiawakasi. Right? It almost has one point, but it's got like two little points in that, right? Sokiawakasi, which literally means the prairie. Sokiawakasi. Anybody know if this animal still exists? Yeah? Where? Over here by the airport? Do they? These? The only time I've seen this is when I went to Foremost. Yeah, we went down to Foremost where there's like nobody there. Like it's just like you drive for hours and then all of a sudden there's a town, a Foremost, right? Anyways, I've seen one of these. And I thought, hey, Saukawa guys, I never seen. I thought they were extinct, but are they abundant or near extinction? 30, not 50, not 100. 30 is kind of. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, these are the antlers. Saukawa. Every animal that has hooves in our Blackfoots we eat. Yeah. So this is right here is awakashi. Now look at the tail. Look at its tail. It's down. Okay? And you call these awakasis esukotui, which means their tails are down, they're broken. Esukotui. So put that down here. It's like you're saying a broken tail. Esukotui. Okay? Mule deer. Esukotui. Let me spell it out for you. Esukotui. Hey, my stuff is still up here, huh? How many? How many we got? $14? Yeah. Maybe just move back because you want to. These people want to see it. This guy's stui. You guys cold? Yeah. So these are the mule deer. It describes the tail that's it kind of hangs down, right? Esukutui. Their tails are broken, right? And they kind of hang. That's what they call a mule deer. Okay? But they're awakasi, right? The antlers and awakasi, soki awakasi. We call them that because probably they're more into the prairies, soki awakasi. Oh, not this one. Now the white-tailed deer. This is the white tail, nice and big. It talks about the tail up like this and it's waving. Awatui, which means the tail is waving back and forth like this. It's waving bye bye as it runs away. And you call that awatui. Awa awatui. Yeah, awatui. That's your white tail. Okay? And they're all edible. We can eat these things. They're probably delicious. I haven't had deer since I was a kid. My dad used to hunt awakas. Boy, barbecue, boil. So, ini, what's that? Yeah. So, Kawakasi. Hello, right. Awakasi asukutui. Mule deer. Just go like this, and you'll know the tail is broken like that, right? Right here. I'll just go like. Awatui is a white-tailed deer, right? All edible. Yeah, so just look at the tail. If you see a herd of deer, they're awakasi, but look at their tails and determine if it's a mule deer or a white tail, depending on the tail, right? We have lots of awakasi in there, and you think, well, that's an awakasi. Well, look at this tail. What kind? That's sikutui or awatui. Okay? Now, here's an animal that describes it's a dark animal in the water. That's what you're describing, right? And it's a nickname too. And if you pronounce it like this, the first part of the word is literally you're going to say like that. 6. It's all one word, but if you break it down, say like this: 6C, 6C, and then my dad named me Sue. 6 to Sue. Okay, now the animal I'm talking about, everybody put your palms up like this and put them out like that, something like this. What do you think that is? A moose. 6 to Sue, yeah. And it describes a dark animal in the water. 6 to Sue, okay? Which means a dark animal in the water. That's if you ever see a 6 to Sue, more than likely you'll see him in a marsh eating what's underneath the undergrowth and that, right? Because the mooses that I've seen, the 6 to Sue, that's where I've seen them, not grazing, but they're in the water somewhere eating. And more than likely in that, they're eating from the fresh, the grass underneath the water. So we call them 6 Sioux. Yes, if you say it like that, it's easy, right? Yeah, I went to school. I know 6. I know C, but if I put it like that, C. And then my good friend Sue. 6 to Sue. Yes. So let's go for the top. Our antlers. Ini. What's this? Sokyawakasi. And what kind of awakasi is this? Esukotui. Awatui. Yeah, awatui. That's, and then this thing here, of course, go like that. It's huge. And antlers, they don't seem to go like this. They seem to have their palms up like this, eh? Huge. 6 to Sue. Are they extinct? Huh? What are the numbers? Who's an environmental? Who works in the parks in Canada? No? Not too many? Because, the numbers I hear, like the awakasi in our prairies and that, they have what they call zombie. Their coats. It's not a very healthy coat in that, right? There's big blotches that are missing. Like there's great big blotches, and they're not so husky anymore. They're just kind of real brittle. And there's lots of them like that too, because the habitat, right? There's not much native grasslands and nowhere, so they're grazing in the farmlands and that. And the farms that they're eating, that's not something that's part of their diet. It's not natural, right? When you go into the fields and had to eat that stuff, well, it's like me drinking milk and eating eggs in it. It's something that's foreign, right? Yeah, sugar, foreign. Okay, our last of our animals. Are they what? Well, yeah. They say that how we communicate, if I'm talking to somebody in Blackfoot, right? If you see two people engaged in Blackfoot dialogue and that, they're not going to be standing there talking like, if you see these Blackfoots and that, boy, they're just really animate with their sign language and that. It's just so, You know, it's it's very, the sign language that these people, they talk about, eh? How was your trip to Mohkins? Yeah. Those type of, you see these old guys when they talk and that, boy, they're just like really talking their, just sign language and that, and yeah, so now one more animal. It's the prefix of a dog or a horse. Bonoka.
Ime.
Bonoka. Now, this one here, it is a huge animal than that. Then probably I would do this. It's a huge, huge animal. Use all five of your fingers and just say, Bonoka. There's a town that's called Opokaa'sin, which is called Red Deer. And that's something that's Blackfoot territory under that Red Deer. It's called Red Deer, but the translation is in our, we call it Opokaa'sin, which means the Elk River. Opokaa'sin. And then when they're probably mapping out and that, they probably, okay, what do you call this area right here? The river. Oh, this is Opokaa'sin. Oh, Red Deer. And then because we don't write, right? So they put it down as Red Deer. And that's the town it's called now. But it's called Opokaa'sin, the Elk River. Yeah. Opokaa'sin. Yeah, so those are, some of the, the mappings that they had and that. The swift current, the Blackfoot word probably was, right? Moose jaw, probably another misinterpretation. Six to stew, right? There must have been lots of moose. Are you guys leaving already? What? Is it bedtime? Curfew? Could I have your plate? Oh, just kidding. He probably has to have to go. We have people from homes that, they assisted living homes, and I think that's where she comes from. And they were talking about, what do you call that population of, let's say, Down syndromes, people with autism. And then we do have a word for that. We say ikinapitapi, the gentle people. Yeah. Those people with autisms, that, they're the Down syndromes and that, right? And huh? Oh, okay. Yeah, then that was the term we came up with. And we called it, those people with what's we'll say special kind of people, right? And that's the word we came up with. E P na P da P. Oh, ikina pitapi. There's a glottal right here. Ikina pitapi, which literally means gentle people. And we describe them as such, and because we worked with some at my last work on that, and they are the most gentlest people, I tell you, eh? So if you see anybody who has autism or those type of issues and stuff like that, you call them that. Whereas in English, they have terminologies for each of the conditions. Oh, this person is autism, and this person has Down syndrome, and that. But we just collectively call them ikinapitapi. Yeah, ikinapitapi. Ikinapitapi. Okay. Okay. So, how many antler animals do we have? Antlers and hoofs. Don't look at them. Look at me. How many? Ini. Esikotui, mule deer. Awatui is the waving deer. White-tailed deer, right? Yeah. How do you say it? Six to stew. Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, the two. Sokyawakasi. And then our last one is There's a town. Bonoka! 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 Yeah. So, those are indigenous, so they always had names. We've never had to develop these names because they've always existed in that, right? And they're used for Blackfoot names, right? Some of the animals that we just used in that, there's some Blackfoot names out there that use these animals, right? Six to Sioux. I remember reading Archie, and there was a guy named Moose in there. Ah, Six to Sioux. Yeah, Moose. Okay, let's move on to our next set of animals. And these are the rodents. Yeah, the ones that live in holes. These are paws, animals with paws.
Badger, gopher,
Paws, animals with the paws, and are rodents as well, too, in that. So the first animal, Atsista, Atsista. You have to kind of extend that A, Atsista, Atsista. Okay, Atsista. So a group of children at a camp, and that they just wouldn't go to bed when they were supposed to. They were kind of this animal that he was told always go to bed when I tell you to go to bed, right? It was the most wonderful looking kind of animal, and that nice white fur, had cute little ears, and it had a big long tail, right? Never listens to his mom, never listens to his dad. He would go out and adventure just a little bit too far from their home. And every time he ventures out, Opokaa'sin and Makui would grab a hold of him and it's rough him up a little bit. He'd come back all injured, right? And so I'm telling you, don't go out there. There's Makui and there's Opokaa'sins out there. Don't go out there. They'll eat you if they get a hold of you. And that you're lucky you got away. What does he do? Well, he heals. He got healed again. He ventures back out. And this time he just really got into a bad wreck. The Makui just grabbed him and shook him a little bit, and that just about broke his back, lost a limb. He only had 3 limbs. So Napi was wandering about, and he seen that family. He said, what's happening? He said, well, my children are not listening to me. We keep warning my children, don't go venturing out into the wilderness and that, because Makui is out there and Opokaa'sin is out there, right? And then the child is saying, well, I just about got away. It was my long tail. I just about got away, and that was my long tail, and that. So they took a hold of my tail. That's how they were able to catch me. And Napi was looking at them. You know what? You're not listening to your parents. You were told don't venture too far out in that because there's animals out there that are dangerous. So what does he do he altered them. He grabbed the child and he stretched out his ears. Right? Now, can you hear your mom and dad? Yeah, I can hear my mom and dad. I can hear just about anything now. All right? But also, too, we're going to alter you so that you're not so easy to catch. So what does he do? He chops off his tail and give him a little tail right here. A small little one. And further to alter the animal in that, you're not going to be so easy to catch in that. You're going to be very quick. So we're going to make those hind legs bigger than your front ones. So that, when you're just about to get caught, you'll be able to dodge and then hit the left or right. And now you're going to be fast, right? So you're going to listen good. You'll have a short tail and you'll be able to dodge these animals, the wolf and the Makui. But you're calling Atsista. Atsista means when they walk, they kind of like they're walking with their front legs first and their little ones like that. They're kind of like rocking. We're describing the walking of it. Atsista, right? You and I walk normal. But you can imagine if I had big feet, and then, okay, I'm going to, so yeah. So that's the story of the Atsista. And we use these Napi stories to our own children, right? During the Halloween and that, there's probably books out there of Franklin and, Clifford the Big Red Dog to promote safety. when you're out trick-or-treating and that, right? Well, that's what we did with our animals, to sort of conform our children to say, if you go out there, you're going to get lost. And there are animals like the magui and that, right? They will do lots of damage. Yeah, so that's stuff. Okay, everybody, turn your page. What's your next animal? Now this one here, oh my goodness, I'm not too sure what this, but there's a story up there of not being the gophers. I tell you. But it kind of relates to another story of how the bobcat got its face in that. But the gopher is a omkukata. Say It's the first part of omkina. Omkukata. 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 Say it. Sing it. Omkukata. 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 Oh, wow. You guys are wicked singers. I'm going to hire you for a choir. And we'll sing that song. Everybody go like this. Put your hand right here. And we kind of look around, eh? Eh? Like these gophers and that, when they come out their hole, hey, they kind of stay. What's going on here? Did you know the gophers are supposed to be hibernating now? But I still have a couple that are still kind of not in their holes. They're not listening. So I want to stretch out their ears if they come out. So omakukata is, of course, a gopher. It's a common animal, and I've heard that back in the day of the buffalo, before we had the imitas and that, children would actually domesticate a gopher and bring them right into their teepees and that. Then they would play with these gophers, omakukata and that, right? They would wrap them up and that. They'll have a little. Yeah, and I've heard stories like that. My grandma used to tell me, says, probably from her stories or during her time, they actually brought a gopher, omakukata, and they domesticated it so much that they, I'm sure you can do that. You guys ever been to Drumheller, the Royal Carrel Museum?
No.
Well, those gophers come right up to you, and you can just feed them like that. So it's possible. Those gophers are nutskia, they would call them greedy, but they'll come right up to you and they're just staring at you and you're eating and okay. And they'll just literally grab what you're eating and they won't run away. They'll just enjoy your meal and you just say, oh, how's it going? Yeah, so yomakukatas they're used for our little girls, eh? Hey, that's mine. They probably gave them names too, eh? Oh, what's our first rodent? Everybody go like this. Tista. When you say that, who do you picture in your mind? Tista. That's a character that's quite very, it's kind of. Bugs Bunny. We don't say bugs, we say bucks. Bugs Bunny. Tista. Everybody. Tista. Tista. Now, what if I go like this? Huh? Remember? Non-indigenous? No, they don't look at your notes. Opokaa'sin. What if I use two fingers? Everybody, anybody? Opokaa'sin. Yeah. Oh, you guys are really good at it. Then this is a Opokaa'sin. Opokaa'sin. Good. This is called Mason ski. It's the Misi in our language and that. It's almost like you're saying it describes the white. The ski is the suffix of Mason ski, right? So ski, we're talking about the face, right? So it talks about the Mason ski, the white line of the face right here. It's got a white line, but it also has two black ones on each side. So we're not talking about the white, but it's that brown or the black that's in between the white right here. Misinski. You know, I went to a Blackfoot language type of thing, and we're trying to determine that, yeah, it talks about the Misinski, but Sinski, like it's almost like he put his head somewhere, and when you popped up his head, he had something like a poop mark on his face right here. That's what Misinski. Yeah, Misinski. Yeah. And somebody was telling, well, it's just that, like the skid marks on your underwear when the Misin, yeah, Misinski. So it talks about the two stripes right here, not the one, but the brown ones on either side, right? So there's a white, right? And it's the brown and the black on the side. Not necessarily this one, but that Misinski, right? Because the white is a appa. Yeah. So I want to do this. And I'm going to go right here. That's a Misinski. Everybody, go right here. Look at me. Misinski. And think of a badger in your head. Okay? When I do this, atsista, think of a rabbit in your head. Think of an atsista. Don't think about your hands up here. They could be like this, but you're still thinking an atsista, right? Okay? Everybody like that? Oh, makukata. Misinski. Use your two fingers. We're talking about that stripe, right? Misinski. Dangerous animal. Misinski. One of the most dangerous animals is the next one. Very dangerous. Now, Napi was walking around. Napi was walking around, and all of a sudden, he's got real keen ear. Like, he could just hear anything, Napi. And he kind of heard like a distant dancing, and they were singing, right? He couldn't really see where it was coming from and that. But he kept walking, and he heard each time he stepped out, he would stop. And he could hear singing and dancing and that. Where's it coming from? And then pretty soon there was a Opokaa'sin, an elk head that was, which is a skull, right? Yeah, it seems to be coming from that elk skull and that. So not be, of course, curious. We're always so curious. I mean, when you need to know what's going on with our environment. So he sticks his head in there, and lo and behold, Ganaskina, go like this. Ganaskinas. We're all in there having a powwow. Epaskaya. They're in there having a powwow. And then up, this looks like a really, really good celebration you guys are having. Can I join in? They say, oh, yeah. But Napi, we dance all night. Don't sleep, because we don't dance until, the sun comes up. And that's a bunch of beef. We're going to powwow all night. So what do they do? So they powwow. The Napi is right in there, rocking and rolling with the guy in the skin. And pretty soon, he fell asleep. And while he fell asleep, and the guy in the skin, they converse. We told Napi, don't sleep. That's just a simple rule, right? So what did they do? They chewed off all his hair. They chewed it off, just right off. And then Napi woke up and that, and got his skin over God, not knowing that he was bald, right? So he got up. He couldn't take that skull off and that, but he could hear that there were some people just ahead and that. And as he was walking and that, of course, the aspen, there was bumping into the aspen and the cottonwood, bumped his head, and he said, ah. And the people say, oh my God, dude, he's got a buffalo head on him. That. And he was, I can't see, eh? And then the old ladies took some rock, and it broke that, that skull and that, and lo and behold, Napi. It was just bald. There was just no hair on it and that, right? So they all started making fun of Napi that he was bald, right? And he ran back into the woods and that. And he didn't see people for a long time until his hair started growing. Moral of the story: what do mice do? They no, they don't. They chew on anything. If you leave your shoes outside, if you leave a jacket on the ground and that, what are the mice going to do? They're going to chew it all up and that. So that's a story about the mice, the behaviors of Ganaskina. Never leave if you have Ganaskina on that, put your things high. Put all your garments high in that. So if you're in the days of the buffalo, pants are not so easy to come by, right? And your shirts and your shoes. So if you know that there's Ganaskina on your camp, put them up high. So the Ganaskina won't chew on them, right? Not necessarily your hair, but the garments that you have of that. That's just a behavior that they have. But Napi never listens, right? He doesn't follow rules. He always breaks the rules. That's just how he is. But he suffers the consequences, right? Well, I fell asleep with kind of skin too. It just started growing. Okay, turn the page. That's the most dangerous animal anywhere. Kind of skin. Beware, ladies. Kind of skin. It'll chew off your nice shoes. Next one is there's two words to this one here. What you have there, it should be like this. I think the word is right there. In the summertime, it's a utek, which means it's a summer weasel. Okay, utek. This is the summertime. So May, June, July, August, probably September, they're this color. They're rust color. So we're describing the color of the brown or the rust color. Utek. Okay. Now, I don't have one here, but in the wintertime, right about now, they're going to change their color and they're called like this. Apa. Apa. Now, this is a Opokaa'sin, right? Yeah. Just go like this, just a little bit more, just straight up, and that's your Apa. Yeah, and they're that's what they do too. They stand really stiff, right? Standing at attention. Weasel. Two words. Same animal. In the wintertime, they're apa. Apa. And then in summertime, they're ute. Ute. Okay? It's the same animal. And we have different, it's a weasel in the winter, white. Ute in the summer. But they're the most popular when they're this. The apa. They trap them and they skin them and they they tan the hides and that. And a lot of the regalia that you see out there, and in the war bonnets and that, they use the appa as part of their regalia. They hang them down, right? And it has to be white, And then we're saying we are called Apetsitapi, which translates to weasel people. Apani is blood. Apani. When you're like you and I's blood is called apani. Okay? So whoever probably misinterpret this thing and say, we're the Apetsitapi, which means the weasel people in that, right? So that whoever was interpreting, apani, which means blood. So, there's probably misinterpretation of the bloods. Should be weasel, the weasel people, not the bloods. Yeah. But because literature is written and it goes out into the, to abroad and that, so people who read them all, those are the Bloods and those are the Crips. No, you got Crip. Yeah, so we're the Bloods. Yeah, so that's probably another misinterpretation in that. But there's different people that had researched that too, and they've determined that nowhere in the history or even the language of the speakers do they ever say blood. They'll say apa, which is the weasel. Yeah. Everybody, stretch. It's a lot of information. Oh. Okay, after you stretch, what is this animal? Don't look at your notes. Artista. Good. Artista. Some of our artistas are like this now, eh? You know the jackrabbits? Those are our indigenous rabbits, not the bunnies that you see in that, but those are, our rabbits are huge. They sit about as high as this table. Their ears, right? Their ears are about as big as their bodies, right? And they're huge. And they are, oh yeah, and with the artista, we don't use the pelts. You know how we use the appa? Yeah, we don't use the pelts of the artista. Something that's probably I have to research just a little bit more, but there's reasons why. Remember the fox? We don't use that as well too. And that. But yeah, these animals, so the stuff is always taboo. We don't use them. Remember too, we eat the hoof animals. We never eat any animals with the paws. So those are something that are amongst the Blackfoots. Anything with paws, leave them alone. Let's let them go their way. But if it has hoofs in that, probably delicious. Okay, so where are we? Turn your page. This is another dangerous animal too, eh? This was given in sort of like same kind of thing as the artista and that, right? It had no defensive record. Like it would always get beat up when a makui or a BC runs to this animal. It just beats it up, right? Just like starts beating him up and that. Had no defense and that. He would just kind of cover up, and the makui would chew on his leg and chew on his tail and then go back. He'd be so now it became, and they say, you know what? You are going to have a defense like no others. Nobody else in this world has this defense. You're going to give you a spray when somebody's going to, if somebody's going to bully you or something like that, spray them with this. Just turn around and spray them, right? So he would turn around and he would spray anything that's going to attack it and that, right? I would never touch looks like a bush to me. Api kai. Remember the word apa? That's the first part of the api kai, which means the white stripe on its back. White stripe. Now with this one, this is what I do for the api kai. Everybody do this? Api kai. Because it stinks. Api kai. Now, of course, we don't eat this animal. We don't use this animal's pelt. Why would you? Yeah, api kai means the white stripe on its back. Api kai. We're just about done. What time have we got? 7:20. We only got about 10 minutes. Huh? We only got about 10 minutes. We're going to do one more animal before we answer any questions and that. But then we're going to finish off next week with birds and animals who live in the water. Everybody go like this and put your paws over top like that. Okay, skach. What is that? If you do that, what is that? Porcupine. Okay, skach. Yeah, and of course, that's another animal that was given the advantage with Napi, right? This animal didn't have any defensive mechanisms to ward off the. So what does he do? Well, you know what? I've given these guys big ears, I've given the Api guy a spray. What can I give you so that you can, defend yourself and that? So he gives them quills, right? You go to touch one of these animals and that, you're going to be full of quills. Now, the animal of the gate skach, but we use it as our. Ever go to a powwow and you see those roaches? Those are made up from the hairs of the gate skach. Yeah, and we don't kill them, to pluck them, and it's quite a tedious task, and that you would have to have two instruments to hold down its tail, right, and throw some kind of a blanket over its head, but you hold down that tail. And make sure he can't see you in that with the blanket and that. And while you're holding down its tail, it gets confused, right? It can't move. It's his head. And it just start plucking its hairs off. And they use those for roaches. Like you see these guys when they're dancing. And he called these roaches eat siman. Not the hairs and that, but there's another little part of that Simon and that, and they're from the Esikotui. No, the Awatui, the tail of a deer. And they take those things and then they put them around the outside and they dye them because they're white, right? And if you look at a roach, it's got a porcupine and a small little hairs in the white-tailed deer. And you put them all together and you got a roach. And you put it together and you give me some music and I'll show you how to use it. Yeah. Those are some of the regalias right here, right? Boy, I tell you. You only got about any questions? Lots of animals. Lots and lots and lots of animals, right? Now, the first five are non-indigenous, right? The next animals that we have are all indigenous. They're all right here in our own country and that, paws and claws, antlers. Most of the animals that you have that have antlers and hooves, we eat, right? What I didn't include in there, and it's not very common, that is the imkini. Mistaki imkini. It's a hard word in that. Those are your goats, the mountain goats. They were. Did you know that the imkini at one time they were a animal of the prairies, and it just kind of felt that it just didn't belong, right? They just didn't belong with the other animals and that. But now if you say, you know what, go try climb up that rock. And I did that thing. Just like climbed up that rock, no problem in that. So that's where they stay now. And do we eat them? I don't know. Do we? I remember, like it's something that we don't. They're not part of our diet. I don't think we eat goats or rams. I've never actually had them, but they hunt them, right? Just to hang them up in our homes. So thank you very much. That's a lot. So that's a lot of vocabulary. We're going to finish off the animals next week. If we can finish them off, I got a bingo game. I got a bingo, and I'll bring my puppets. I'll introduce you to my puppets next week. They're really neat. Yeah, I got the most awesome puppets. I tell you, they look just like me. So thank you, Karen. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chantilly. They are from the Blackfoot Resource Hub in Lethbridge. Of course, Chris is from the Lethbridge Sikokutut Friendship Society, and Chantilly is the Opokaa'sin Early Intervention, they still call it. Yep. Child Services and that. Together, they pay me. Hey. Oh, hey. Yeah. Yeah. They tell you that? No, no, I can imagine what the. Yeah. 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 Well, some of